Ladies and gentlemen, do you know what the most powerful force on this planet is? It's not money, not fame, not even technology. It's the strength, resilience, and love of a woman. When a woman decides to change her life, she doesn't just change herself, she changes her family, her society, and sometimes even the entire world. When we talk about valuing yourself before expecting others to value you, it may sound like a simple line, but in reality, it is one of the most powerful principles that can truly change the way you live your life. Every day, so many of us wake up hoping that someone will recognize us, appreciate us, or give us the love we deserve. Women, in particular, often fall into this trap because society has conditioned them to constantly seek validation from parents who compare them to others, from husbands who sometimes fail to notice their sacrifices, from children who may take them for granted, or from workplaces where their efforts may not always be acknowledged. And slowly, without realizing, many women begin to measure their worth through the eyes of others. But the truth is, waiting for the world to value you is like standing in front of a locked door and hoping someone else has the key. That key has always been in your hand, and it is called self-worth. Think about it. When you hold a diamond in your hand, even if no one around you recognizes it, does the diamond stop being valuable? Absolutely not. Its worth doesn't change just because people fail to see it. In the same way, your value does not decrease because someone doesn't appreciate you or fails to treat you the way you deserve. Yet so many people go through life like a diamond covered in dust, forgetting to shine simply because others are blind to their brilliance. Valuing yourself begins with the way you treat yourself in your daily life. If you constantly criticize yourself, saying, "I am not good enough," or "I don't deserve better," then you are writing a story of failure before it even begins. But if you stand in front of the mirror every morning and remind yourself, "I am worthy, I am capable, and I am enough," you will notice an incredible change in the way you carry yourself. The way you walk, the way you talk, the way you deal with challenges, all of it transforms when you start treating yourself like someone valuable. Let's take an example. Imagine a woman who works tirelessly at home. She wakes up early, cooks for the family, takes care of the children, cleans, and still manages to help her children with their homework. But at the end of the day, no one really thanks her. The family eats, enjoys, and goes to bed. She feels invisible. In such a situation, it's easy to feel, maybe my work is meaningless. But here's the truth. Her contribution is not small. The home runs because of her. The family stands strong because of her. And if she learns to value herself, she will stop waiting for others to validate her and start celebrating her own silent victories. Or take another example, a young woman in her office who works harder than everyone else but never gets the recognition. Others are promoted while she is overlooked. The natural reaction is to feel disheartened, to question your own worth. But if she keeps reminding herself, "My work is meaningful, my effort has value, and one day the right opportunity will come," then no lack of recognition can break her spirit. People who truly value themselves don't collapse under the weight of neglect. They rise above it. Valuing yourself also means respecting your boundaries. When you don't value yourself, you allow others to misuse your time, your energy, and your kindness. You keep saying yes when you want to say no because you are afraid of losing their approval. But when you start valuing yourself, you realize that your time is precious, your peace of mind is sacred, and your well being is important. And suddenly, the courage to say no comes naturally because you no longer fear disappointing others, you fear disappointing yourself. Another powerful daily life example is from relationships. Many women stay in toxic relationships simply because they believe they are not good enough to deserve better. They accept disrespect, dishonesty, and even abuse, all because they have been made to feel worthless. But the moment they start valuing themselves, everything changes. They no longer settle for less, they no longer tolerate mistreatment, and they begin to demand the respect that was always their right. A woman who values herself does not have to shout or fight. Her presence alone commands respect. Valuing yourself is not arrogance, and it's not ego. It is not about thinking you are better than others. It is about knowing you are not less than anyone. It is quiet confidence, not loud pride. Just like a tree doesn't need to scream to prove its strength, you don't need to beg anyone to notice your worth. Your existence itself is valuable, and the sooner you embrace that, the sooner the world will start to see it too. Every time you respect yourself, you send a message to the world. This is how I deserve to be treated. And the world listens. If you allow people to treat you badly, they will. If you demand respect through your actions, not your words, they will respect you. It all starts with you. So remember this: your value is not in someone's opinion, not in the number of likes on social media, not in the compliments you receive, and not even in the role you play in someone else's life. Your value is in who you are, in the effort you make every day, in the love you give, in the challenges you overcome, and in the strength you carry within. When you recognize your own worth, you stop begging for appreciation, you start living with dignity. And that, my dear friends, is the first and most powerful step to change your life. Value yourself before expecting others to value you, and you will see that the moment you shine with self-worth, the world cannot help but notice your light. Investing in your growth, and not just your looks, is one of the most empowering lessons you can practice in life. The world around us constantly bombards us with the message that beauty is everything. Magazines, advertisements, social media all highlight flawless skin, perfect bodies, stylish clothes, and glamorous appearances. While there is nothing wrong with wanting to look good, the problem arises when looking good becomes the only measure of who you are. Looks may draw attention, but they do not guarantee respect. Looks may open a door, but they cannot keep it open forever. What truly keeps people inspired by you is your character, your wisdom, your skills, and your growth as a human being. Imagine a young woman who spends hours in front of the mirror perfecting her makeup, but has no time to read a book, learn a new skill, or grow her mind. She may impress someone at a party, but when the conversation begins, what happens if she has nothing meaningful to contribute? On the other hand, another woman may dress simply, but she carries herself with confidence, speaks with knowledge, and inspires everyone she meets with her maturity. Who do you think leaves a lasting impression? It is always the one who has invested in her growth. Growth here means more than just professional skills. It is about developing yourself in every way. Reading books that expand your perspective, learning how to manage your emotions, building financial independence, mastering communication, understanding people, and even nurturing creativity. When you invest in these things, you become someone who cannot be ignored. Looks might make people notice you once, but growth makes people remember you for life. Think of an example from daily life. In the workplace, two women join as interns. One spends her energy only on dressing fashionably every day, but does not learn beyond her basic tasks. The other dresses neatly, but spends her time learning new tools, asking questions, staying curious, and improving her skills. A year later, when the company is looking for someone to promote, who do you think they will choose? Of course, the one who invested in her growth. Because while good looks may catch the eye of colleagues, it is growth that earns respect and opportunities. Now let's look at another angle: relationships. Many young women believe that looking beautiful is enough to find love and happiness. But the truth is, real relationships go far deeper. Physical attraction may bring two people together, but what sustains a relationship is wisdom, kindness, patience, and emotional intelligence. A woman who invests in her growth, who understands herself, who communicates well, who knows how to handle challenges with maturity, will always have a stronger, healthier relationship than someone who relies only on outward beauty. Because when life tests you, makeup cannot solve the problem, but maturity can. It is also important to realize that looks fade with time. No matter how perfect someone appears in their youth, age will bring changes. But if you have invested in growth, wisdom, and inner strength, you will only become more graceful, more inspiring, and more beautiful with time. This is why people admire women like teachers, leaders, or grandmothers who carry decades of wisdom. Their beauty shines through their words, their experiences, and their hearts, not just their faces. Let's take a simple example. A woman who chooses to spend 30 minutes every day scrolling through beauty tutorials online could instead spend those 30 minutes learning a new language, a new recipe, or even listening to a motivational podcast. One activity polishes the outside, while the other nourishes the inside. Over time, the difference becomes obvious. The first woman may know how to look stylish, but the second woman grows into someone with depth, confidence, and stories to tell. And depth always outshines decoration. This doesn't mean that appearance is unimportant. Of course, grooming yourself, dressing well, and feeling good about how you look is part of self-care. But it should never be the only thing. Think of it like a book. A beautiful cover may attract someone to pick it up, but it is the content inside that makes them keep reading. You are that book. Your looks are the cover, but your growth is the content. Without substance, the cover loses its purpose. Investing in growth also means developing resilience. Life will not always go as planned. There will be failures, rejections, and disappointments. If you rely only on looks, those moments will break you, because external beauty cannot protect you from life's storms. But when you have invested in your growth, when you have read, learned, reflected, and built strength, you stand tall even in the hardest seasons. You know how to adapt, how to find solutions, and how to rise again. And what happens when you grow? People start to see you differently. Not just as someone who looks good, but as someone who makes others feel good, as someone who carries wisdom, as someone they can look up to. Growth turns you into an inspiration, and when you become an inspiration, no one can ever reduce your worth to your appearance alone. So, every day ask yourself, am I spending more time on polishing my outside than building my inside? Am I investing more in looking beautiful for a moment, or in becoming valuable for a lifetime? Because the truth is, the most attractive person in the room is not always the prettiest. It is the one who radiates confidence, who carries knowledge, who speaks with grace, and who uplifts others. And all of that comes only from growth. Therefore, invest in yourself. Read, learn, grow, reflect, and strengthen your character. Take care of your appearance, yes, but don't forget to feed your mind and your soul. Because looks may fade, but growth never stops shining. And when you shine from within, no one can dim your light. Don't compare, create. These words sound simple, but if practiced sincerely, they have the power to transform your life completely. The truth is, comparison has become one of the biggest diseases of our time. With the rise of social media, it has grown even more dangerous. You open your phone in the morning, and instantly, you are greeted with someone's vacation pictures, another person's luxurious lifestyle, someone else's perfect relationship, or flawless looks. Without even realizing, you start questioning yourself. Why don't I have what she has? Why is her life so perfect? Why am I not good enough? Slowly, this constant comparison begins to steal your joy, your peace, and even your confidence. But here's the reality: you were never born to be a copy. You were born to be a creator of your own unique story. Imagine two flowers blooming in a garden, a rose and a sunflower. The rose never looks at the sunflower and says, I wish I were tall like you. The sunflower never looks at the rose and says, I wish I had your fragrance. Both flowers bloom in their own way, and the garden is beautiful because of their uniqueness. But human beings forget this. We keep comparing, forgetting that our uniqueness is our greatest gift. The world doesn't need another copy of someone else. It needs the authentic version of you. Think about this in daily life. A young girl in school scores well in mathematics, but her parents constantly compare her with another student who is better in sports. Instead of celebrating her own gift with numbers, she begins to feel inadequate. She spends her time trying to be someone she is not, instead of creating her own excellence in what she is naturally good at. Comparison kills joy, but more importantly, it kills potential. Because when you are busy looking at someone else's path, you lose focus on your own. Another example, imagine a woman scrolling through social media, seeing her friend post pictures of a lavish wedding. She begins to feel her own wedding was too simple, maybe even less valuable. But does a wedding's worth truly lie in how expensive it looks, or in the love and commitment between two people? Sadly, comparison makes us blind to our blessings. We stop appreciating what we already have, and we chase after illusions that may not even bring happiness to those who seem to have it all. Creating instead of comparing means realizing that your life is a canvas and only you can paint it. No two paintings are ever the same, and that is what makes them valuable. If you spend your life copying someone else's strokes, your canvas will lose its authenticity. But when you take your brush and paint from your own imagination, you create something no one else can replicate. That is the power of originality. Let's consider another example. In a workplace, two women are given similar roles. One spends her energy constantly comparing her progress to her colleagues. She feels jealous if her colleague gets recognition, and she doubts herself if her colleague seems more confident. The other woman decides to focus on her own growth. Instead of competing in someone else's lane, she works on her creativity, finds new solutions, and brings fresh ideas to the team. Who do you think the management will notice more in the long run? Always the one who creates, not the one who compares. Comparison also leads to endless dissatisfaction. No matter how much you achieve, there will always be someone who seems to have more. If you buy a car, someone will have a bigger one. If you buy a house, someone will have a fancier one. If you get promoted, someone will be earning more. The cycle never ends. But when you focus on creating your own joy, your own progress, your own purpose, then you stop measuring your worth against others. You find happiness in your own journey. Creating also means embracing your imperfections. When you compare yourself with others, you focus only on what you lack. But when you create, you use what you have. A musician doesn't sit and think, "I wish I had a painter's brush." Instead, he takes his instrument and creates music. A writer doesn't wish she could sculpt. She takes her pen and creates stories. In the same way, whatever gifts you have, whether it's kindness, intelligence, creativity, or resilience, use them to create something unique. That is where your true value lies. There's a saying, comparison is the thief of joy, and it is true. But I would add, creation is the giver of purpose. Because the moment you stop comparing and start creating, you begin to see your life not as a competition, but as a contribution. You no longer live to outshine others, you live to shine in your own way. Think of the great women in history, scientists, leaders, artists, reformers. They did not spend their lives comparing themselves to others. They created new ideas, new paths, new possibilities. If they had wasted time worrying about how someone else was doing, the world would never have seen their brilliance. Similarly, every woman today has the same choice. Will you spend your life comparing, or will you spend it creating? So remember, your journey is yours alone. Your pace is yours. Your struggles are yours. Your victories are yours. Stop looking over the fence at someone else's life and start watering your own garden. The fruit of your creation will always taste sweeter than the bitterness of comparison. Because at the end of the day, happiness does not come from being better than others. Happiness comes from being the best version of yourself. Don't compare, create, and when you do, you'll discover that your life was never meant to be a race against others. It was always meant to be a masterpiece of your own making. Learning the power of no is one of the most liberating lessons anyone can ever embrace. For many women, the word no feels heavy, almost sinful, as though refusing someone makes them selfish or unkind. From childhood, many are taught to please everyone, to obey, to adjust, and to sacrifice, even when it comes at the cost of their own happiness. But here lies the truth. Every time you say yes to something you don't want or cannot handle, you are actually saying no to your own peace, your own health, and your own growth. Understanding the power of no is not about being rude or unkind. It is about valuing yourself enough to protect your time, your energy, and your well being. Think about how many times in daily life this plays out. A woman is already exhausted after a long day, yet when a neighbor asks for help with something unnecessary, she agrees. She says yes, not because she wants to, but because she doesn't want to look unfriendly. The result? She returns home drained, irritated, and unable to give attention to her own family. In that one moment, by failing to say no, she let go of her own balance. If she had politely refused, she could have saved her energy for what truly mattered. The truth is, saying no does not make you a bad person. It makes you an honest one, a simple, graceful no spoken with respect is far more powerful than a resentful yes said out of pressure. People may not always like it, but they will eventually respect it because it shows you respect yourself. Let's take another example from the workplace. Imagine an employee who is always the one to say yes. Yes to extra tasks. Yes to unreasonable deadlines. Yes to colleagues who dump their responsibilities on her. At first, people may admire her helpfulness, but slowly, they begin to take advantage. They stop respecting her boundaries and start expecting her to do everything. Meanwhile, her own growth suffers because she spends all her time doing what others want rather than focusing on what she truly needs. Now imagine if she had learned to say no. Politely, setting limits. She would still be respected for her work, but she would not be treated like a doormat. Instead, she would be seen as someone who values herself. Saying no is also about teaching others how to treat you. People learn from your boundaries. If you always say yes, they believe your time has no value. But the moment you start drawing lines, they begin to understand that your time, your energy, and your heart are precious. In relationships too, this is vital. Many women end up in situations where they are constantly giving time, love, attention, sacrifice, while the other person only takes. They fear saying no because they think it might upset the other person. But what happens? The relationship becomes unbalanced and resentment grows. On the other hand, a woman who has the courage to say no when something feels wrong will earn respect in the long run. She teaches the other person that love is not about exploitation, but about balance and mutual respect. There is a story often told of a farmer and his donkey. The farmer kept loading the donkey with more and more weight every day, and the donkey never resisted. One day, the farmer placed so much weight that the donkey collapsed and could no longer carry anything. People are like that donkey when they don't learn to say no. The world keeps adding more and more burdens until one day they collapse under the weight. Learning to say no is not selfishness, it is self-preservation. It is choosing to protect your strength so that you can continue to serve where it truly matters. Daily life provides countless small opportunities to practice this. You don't need to say no harshly. You can say it with kindness, with a smile, with grace. For example, when someone asks for your time and you are already overwhelmed, you can say, "I would love to help, but right now I am not able to take this on." This is a no, but a no filled with respect. Or, when someone tries to pressure you into something against your values, you can firmly say, "I appreciate your suggestion, but this doesn't align with what I believe in." This is a no, but a no filled with respect. Or, when someone tries to pressure you into something against your values, you can say, "I would love to help, but right now I am not able to take this on." This is a no, but a no filled with respect. Or, when someone you can firmly say, "I appreciate your suggestion, but this doesn't align with what I believe in." Again, it is a no, but a dignified one. Another important truth about saying no is that it creates space for better opportunities. If your life is filled with activities and commitments you said yes to out of pressure, there is no room left for the things you actually want. But the moment you start saying no to what drains you, you open the door for what inspires you. Think of it like a closet. If it is stuffed with clothes you never wear, there is no space for new ones. But when you remove the unnecessary, you make room for the meaningful. Similarly, saying no removes the clutter from your life and allows space for growth. At the heart of it, learning to say no is really about learning to say yes to yourself. Yes to your health, yes to your dreams, yes to your happiness. Every no you say to what is toxic or unnecessary is actually a yes to something better. And this shift changes everything. People begin to notice your boundaries, your clarity, your strength. More importantly, you begin to notice your own power. So, the next time you are tempted to say yes, just to avoid discomfort, pause and ask yourself, am I betraying myself by agreeing to this? Will this yes drain me or nourish me? If it drains you, then have the courage to say no. Not with guilt, not with fear, but with the quiet dignity of someone who values their life. Because in the end, life is too short to waste on obligations that break you. It should be spent on commitments that build you. The world may not always clap for your no, but your heart will thank you for it. And when your heart is at peace, you can give the best of yourself to the people and things that truly matter. Balancing your heart and mind is one of the greatest arts of life. Too much heart, and you may find yourself being taken advantage of. Too much mind, and you may become cold, distant, and unable to truly connect with people. The secret lies in creating harmony between the two, where your emotions and your wisdom walk side by side, guiding you through every decision. A heart full of compassion without the guidance of the mind can lead to blind sacrifices, while a sharp mind without the warmth of the heart can make life feel empty and mechanical. Together, however, they can create a life of strength, peace, and meaning. Think of a mother. Her heart wants to give everything to her children, her time, her energy, her love, even at the cost of her own needs. But her mind tells her that if she doesn't take care of herself, if she doesn't rest or nourish her health, she won't be able to take care of her family in the long run. When she balances her heart with her mind, she finds a middle path, giving with love, but also ensuring she has the strength to continue. That balance doesn't make her selfish, it makes her sustainable. In daily life, we often see people swinging to extremes. There are those who are heart-driven, they help everyone, they say yes to everything, they sacrifice endlessly. At first, people admire them, but soon others begin to misuse their kindness. The heart-driven person ends up tired, disappointed, and sometimes bitter. On the other side, there are those who are mind-driven. They calculate everything, give only when it benefits them, and avoid emotional involvement. They may appear strong, but deep inside, they feel isolated, missing the warmth that comes from genuine connection. Neither extreme brings fulfillment. It is the balance that creates harmony. Imagine a young woman working in an office. Her heart tells her to help her colleagues every time they ask for assistance. She stays late, does extra work, and even sacrifices her weekends. But soon, she realizes she is falling behind in her own tasks, and her health is suffering. Her mind then steps in and tells her to create boundaries. She decides to help others, but only when it does not harm her responsibilities. She learns to balance kindness with wisdom, and in doing so, she becomes both respected and effective. Balancing heart and mind also plays a major role in relationships. Sometimes, love makes us blind. A woman may see the red flags in a relationship, but her heart whispers, "He will change. Stay a little longer." If she listens only to her heart, she may stay in a toxic situation for years, wasting her potential and losing her peace. But if she balances her heart with her mind, she can still feel compassion, but also recognize when it is time to walk away. On the other side, if someone uses only their mind in a relationship, calculating every move, measuring every benefit, love becomes a transaction. There is no intimacy, no warmth. True relationships blossom when love is guided by wisdom and wisdom is softened by love. Let us take another example. A teacher has a student who constantly misbehaves. The teacher's heart feels compassion and wants to forgive every mistake. But if she keeps forgiving without correction, the student will never improve. Her mind tells her to discipline the child, to create boundaries. So she balances the two. She disciplines, but with kindness. She corrects, but without crushing the child's spirit. This balance not only helps the student grow, but also strengthens the bond between teacher and student. When you live with balance, you also avoid regret. How many times have people said, "I wish I hadn't trusted blindly," or "I wish I had been kinder"? These regrets come when one side dominates the other. Too much heart, and you regret being naive. Too much mind, and you regret being unfeeling. Balance saves you from both extremes. Life itself shows us the importance of balance. The sun gives warmth, but if it burns too hot, life cannot survive. The rain gives nourishment, but if it pours endlessly, it destroys. Balance makes the world flourish, and balance will make your life flourish too. In the same way, your heart gives warmth, but your mind ensures direction. Your mind gives logic, but your heart ensures humanity. Practicing this balance begins in small, daily choices. For example, when a friend asks for your help while you are already overwhelmed, your heart says, "Don't disappoint her," while your mind says, "If you overcommit, you will collapse." Balance helps you respond with kindness without harming yourself. You may say, "I really care about you, but today I cannot. Can we plan for tomorrow?" Here, your heart expressed care, and your mind protected your energy. Even in bigger life decisions, career choices, marriage, friendships, this balance is crucial. If you choose a career only with your mind, you may earn money but feel empty if there is no passion. If you choose only with your heart, you may follow passion but struggle without stability. Balance ensures that you follow your dreams in a way that is sustainable. Similarly, in marriage, your heart may push you to love deeply, but your mind reminds you to also choose someone with values, integrity, and responsibility. Both are necessary. The beauty of balancing heart and mind is that it gives you inner peace. You no longer feel torn between emotions and logic because you have taught them to work together. You no longer feel guilty for protecting yourself, nor do you feel cold for caring about others. Balance brings wholeness. It makes your decisions stronger, your relationships healthier, and your life calmer. So remember, your heart and mind are not enemies. They are partners, like two wings of a bird. A bird cannot fly with only one wing. It needs both in harmony. In the same way, your life cannot soar if you use only your heart or only your mind. It is the balance that lifts you higher, allowing you to live with love, wisdom, and dignity. Surround yourself with people who lift you up. This single choice can completely change the direction of your life. The company you keep is like the soil in which you are planted. If the soil is fertile, you will grow strong and bear fruit. If the soil is toxic, even the strongest seed struggles to survive. People often underestimate how much influence their surroundings have on their mindset, their confidence, and even their happiness. But the truth is, your environment shapes you silently, day by day, until one day you either shine brighter or feel completely drained. That is why choosing who you allow into your inner circle is not just a preference. It is a responsibility you owe to yourself. Think of a simple daily life example. Imagine you are trying to lose weight or live a healthier lifestyle. If your closest friends are people who constantly discourage you, mock your efforts, or tempt you with unhealthy habits, how long will you be able to stay disciplined? But if your friends encourage you, cook healthy meals with you, and remind you why you started, you will not only stay strong, you will thrive. This is the power of the people around you. They either push you towards your best or pull you towards your worst. Another example, a student dreams of becoming an artist, but her circle of friends constantly laughs at her, saying, "There's no future in art, stop wasting time." If she listens to them, her dream may die before it even begins. But imagine she finds a mentor or joins a community of other artists who inspire her, share techniques, and encourage her to grow. Suddenly, her dream feels possible. The only difference was the environment. The dream was the same, but the people around her either suffocated it or nurtured it. Even in family life, this plays a role. A woman working hard to support her family may have relatives who constantly criticize her, saying she is not doing enough or that her choices are wrong. Such voices drain her spirit. But if her family encourages her, saying, "We are proud of you, we believe in you," those words become fuel. They give her the strength to continue even when things get hard. Words from the people closest to you can either become chains that hold you down or wings that help you fly. Surrounding yourself with uplifting people doesn't mean that everyone around you has to be perfect or always happy. It means choosing people whose presence leaves you better, not worse. Think about how you feel after meeting certain people. With some, you walk away drained, filled with doubts, maybe even bitterness. With others, you walk away lighter, inspired, filled with hope. Pay attention to that feeling because it tells you who is lifting you and who is pulling you down. It also matters because energy is contagious. If you spend time with people who constantly complain, gossip, and spread negativity, you will find yourself slowly adopting the same habits. Without realizing, you begin to complain more, gossip more, and lose sight of gratitude. But when you are with people who focus on solutions, who express gratitude, who chase growth, you catch their energy too. You start to see possibilities instead of problems and opportunities instead of obstacles. There is a story often told of an eagle raised among chickens. Because it lived with chickens, it believed it was one of them. It scratched the ground for food and never even attempted to fly. One day, another eagle saw it and told it, "You are not a chicken, you are an eagle. Spread your wings." At first, it resisted, but slowly, with encouragement, it soared into the sky. That eagle could have died believing it was a chicken, all because of the company it kept. In the same way, if you stay with people who do not see your potential, you may never realize how high you can fly. But if you stay with people who remind you of your strength, you will rise beyond your limits. Surrounding yourself with uplifting people is also about quality, not quantity. You don't need hundreds of friends. Even 2 or 3 genuine people who truly believe in you are enough. It is better to walk alone on the right path than to walk with a crowd on the wrong one. Many people stay in toxic circles out of fear of loneliness, but loneliness with dignity is always better than company with misery. And when you clear out toxic company, you make space for uplifting souls to enter your life. In daily life, uplifting people are not always those who give you constant compliments. True uplifting friends are those who push you to grow, who tell you the truth with kindness, who celebrate your wins, and who stand by you in your struggles. They don't compete with you, they complete you. They don't envy your light, they help you shine brighter. Even in your career, this matters greatly. Imagine 2 workplaces, one filled with gossip, politics, and negativity, and another filled with collaboration, encouragement, and mutual respect. In which place do you think an employee grows faster, feels more creative, and stays motivated? The second one, of course. This is why great leaders always build uplifting cultures. Because they know people rise higher when surrounded by positivity. At the end of the day, your circle is like a mirror. You will begin to reflect the qualities of those closest to you. If you want to rise, surround yourself with those who are already rising. If you want to stay positive, be with people who radiate positivity. If you want to grow, stay with those who challenge you to grow. Your life is too precious to be wasted in circles that drain you. Choose wisely because your circle decides your cycle. So, surround yourself with people who lift you up. Seek those who inspire you to dream bigger, who comfort you in pain, who correct you with love, and who cheer for your success. And just as importantly, be that person for others too. Because when uplifting souls come together, they don't just change each other, they change the world around them.